And now, here is Walt Disney.
Hello, I'm Michael Eisner.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Quick Diz Takes Freeform Friday, episode number 2. Recorded beautifully on a freeform afternoon on a Saturday, unfortunately. My name is Tim, as usual, your host, and once again joining me this week is Mr. Chris Castro.
Happy to be back, Tim.
Real quickly, Chris, I want to get right into this, but before we do, just want to say happy 30th birthday to Disney's Hollywood Studios. May 1st, it turns 30 years old, and a reason why I bring this up is because that is the first park that I ever stepped foot in as a kid in, I believe, 1989, and it completely blew my mind. I remember driving in and seeing, and at this point in time, by the way, it was then MGM Studios, seeing the TIE Fighter from Star Wars and different movie props and just having that really kid, joyous face on.
What did it look like?
My mind was blown by this. So we get to
That
the
might have been a seizure.
It might have been a seizure. I think because I don't really remember when I saw the TIE Fighter until when I get to the gate. So I might have seizured to the gate. I get to the gate. I walk in. You get this beautiful, street right down to the great movie ride at the Chinese theater there. And, but back then you only had the Great Movie Ride. You had Indiana Jones Stunt Spectacular, and you had the Backlot Tour. And on this Backlot Tour was one of the most beautiful sights these eyes have ever seen.
Tell me.
The Golden Girls house.
Just got goosebumps.
And we want to talk late 80s, early 90s sitcoms from our childhoods, and the Golden Girls are the first one I want to talk about. So, somewhere along the line, someone sat down and said, hey, let's write a sitcom about 4 women in their 60s. I'd like to think that originally it was in their 20s, and someone kind of put their hand up, was like, we could go to the 60s or 50s or whatever age they were. I want to say it was 60s in that show, and have this whole dynamic with them being older, make everything a lot more funnier. Not sure if that's what happened or not, but it's hard to believe that this would be the original intention, but if it was genius, or it's genius either way. You get the 4 characters. You got Blanche Devereaux, played by Miss
Rue McClanahan.
Rose Nyland, played by Miss
Betty White.
Dorothy Spornak, played by Miss
B. Arthur.
And Sophia Petrillo, played by Miss
Estelle Getty.
And you got the quick-witted mother, Estelle Getty, as Sophia. You got Dorothy as kind of the more blander, middle-of-the-road, not-so-attractive high school teacher. You got Rose Nyland, played by Betty White, as kind of the dummy of the group, the dimwit. And Rue McClanahan playing Blanche Devereaux, the...
What would you call her?
Modern woman of our times.
I like the way you put that.
Slut. Anyway, so what do you like most about the show? 'Cause I know you love it.
Love it. Something where I think you were probably introduced by your grandma. That's how I came into the show.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think everyone, that's how.
And that was a Saturday night show, I believe, at the time.
I believe so.
Because TGIF was Friday nights.
Right.
Obviously, and we'll talk about that later, and then into Saturday, I believe, was the Golden Girls lineup.
So, I think watching it now, it's fond memories. I grew up, my grandma was watching it. I know my cousin Holly, her daughter Madison, this next generation of Golden Girls fans. They both love it. They're super fans. And for me...
Golden Girls super fans.
Golden Girls super
Classic.
fans. Yeah.
I love it.
There's actually, and I'll bring this up real quick, Golden Girls cruise, which Holly was telling me about, 2020, leaving from Miami. And it's a whole Golden Girls theme cruise, which is amazing.
And we will have footage for you on the channel of that when we go on it.
Right.
That's a joke. Well, maybe not a joke, but
No,
a joke for now.
It's completely.
No, I know it's
Yeah.
real. Us going on it might not be
Oh,
real.
right. We'll see. We'll see. We'll
But
see.
you never know. Especially these days. Mood swings me. I just go.
Right. So what do I love about Golden Girls? It's hard to put it into really a statement. I think it's just a classic show. It's something where you had the hijinks of these four, like you said, older women, sometimes acting like they were in their 20s, you know?
Most of the time, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's...
everything they got, every kind of hijinks they were involved in had something to do with either maybe someone got had a little too much to drink, or someone hooked up with a guy, or a lot of hooking up with guys.
But I think the casting was just so great. I think everyone played their character perfectly. You had just great chemistry, which is, you know, of course, super important within any type of sitcom. And the jokes were...
Oh, it was perfect.
It was perfect. It's one of those timeless sitcoms where you can still laugh at the jokes that they're telling.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's older references, the setups were there, the payoffs were just great.
Oh, they're always so perfect. And the one thing I would say is Estelle Getty, I think, was most people's favorite. Every show kind of has a favorite. And she kind of rose, I think, over the years as being the favorite. But I was watching a reel the other day, kind of getting prepared for this, and Dorothy, to me, always had the best delivery of a joke. Because she was always like sitting there, like, and a situation would be going on. You could, in her face, you could see her already getting annoyed with what was going on around her.
Yeah.
And then she would deliver whatever the line was, and it would always be hysterical, at least in my opinion.
I liked her interaction with Rose.
Oh, the best. I was watching the other day, and it's just, once again, it was a reel, so it's just quick clips. I'm not sure what the context was exactly, but, you know, Rose leans over, "Can I tell a stupid story?" And then already see the disgust on Dorothy's face. "Better than anybody I know, Rose."
Yeah, just classic lines.
Always perfect scenarios set up like that, and the timing was always perfect. So the writing was obviously exceptionally good.
It was. And I think something else is, you know, it did have its own spin-off show afterwards, the Golden Palace.
Yeah,
If you
and
remember that.
I watched a little bit of that. Cheech Marin was in it, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
I don't remember much, though.
No,
They ran a hotel,
yeah.
and someone wasn't on it.
Dorothy wasn't.
Dorothy wasn't on it. Okay, how'd they write her off?
Because she got married.
To Stan again?
No. So there was an episode where she was going to get married to Stan
No,
again.
Stan was her ex-husband, if anyone doesn't know, by the way.
Right. And then he wanted her to sign, remember the, whatchamacallit papers?
Prenups or whatever.
Prenups, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And she refused. And so, but then it was Liam Neeson. Leslie Nielsen.
Leslie Nielsen. Yes, I do. Okay, I do remember that.
If it was Liam Neeson.
They set that up at the end of the Golden Girls.
Yes.
So it was planned.
Stan was the limo driver,
Everything
actually.
was planned.
Yep.
Stan was the limo.
If you remember that.
Okay, that makes sense now. And I don't think Golden Palace went on for more than maybe a year.
Yeah, I think it was...
It was quick.
Yeah. But then again, that kind of brings to light, without one character...
Yeah.
It didn't flow as well, you know. And I don't know, it was kind of a different story, but the cast, you kind of needed all four to play off one another, you know.
And they bring Cheech in to, I guess, help with that. But it's also a testament of how popular the show was. So to me, that just shows you that the show, B. Arthur must have wanted. I'm gonna have to go on the assumption, and you can look this up.
Yeah.
That B. Arthur was probably trying to get off the show anyway. That's how this all went down. But they obviously didn't want to cancel the show. They were going to make a spin-off of the show. So it must have still been pulling some pretty good ratings. And I want to say Golden Palace was, you'd have to find that, but 94, 95. It was into the middle of the 90s, I think. At least by memory. We'll look that up in a second. But yeah, you know, you take away Dorothy, and she was just an important character in that show altogether. Because what happens is they spend so much time building dynamics. Like you said, Dorothy's best insults always kind of came towards Rose. She had a few good ones with everyone, really, but Sophia used to love to pick on her own daughter and Blanche the most. Not to say that she didn't pick on Rose as well, but her best work was always done with a certain kind of joke. She always had some good jokes with Blanche and, you know, being promiscuous and things like that.
It was 92 to 93, one season.
Oh, okay, so it was a little awesome.
From September to May of 93.
Very brief.
Very brief.
Yeah, I think at that point things would change into the 90s and things like that too. So I think it had kind of run its course. And that show went on in the air, what, 86 or so?
85.
85, so that's interesting. So I bet you a lot of the ones we were watching were probably already like just repeats, too.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we were watching it on Saturday night and well, you especially because you were younger.
Mm-hmm.
I was coming over to this actually very house we're sitting in right now. My grandparents owned it, and watching that on Saturday night. So my grandmother was probably in the late 80s, so I was still seeing it kind of as it went on.
Yeah.
But time seemed to go on so much longer back then, too. So it felt like that was on forever.
That is true, yeah.
And then, into the 90s, we're probably still watching it on syndication somewhere, too. I'm not really sure where. But I'm sure somebody had it.
And of course
People
now.
still do have it.
Yep.
It's on Hulu now, I believe, too, as well.
Yeah.
I have to check that out, actually. I love that show. It's
It's
good for a laugh.
That's the thing. It's a testament to that timeless sitcom. Not every sitcom lasts.
No.
Clearly, even in present day as they're filming, you have hits, you have misses, but for someone to be such a hit that it carries over generationally too, speaks to how good it really was.
Well, it ran a good course too, because if you think about it, it did the Golden Palace thing. Probably a mistake. I mean, it was worth a shot, right? Mm-hmm. But if it hadn't, and it had that popularity still going, it probably had a good time frame. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It had a good time frame, and it didn't stay, outstay its welcome. Yeah. Which is minus the 1 year of Golden Palace.
Right.
So that's good. It's always a mark of a good show. Mm-hmm. Back to Blanche. We were actually talking about this before we started the podcast. It was always funny to us how the Golden Girls always caught each other in bed with guys. Sophia at some point. I think it was only once. Maybe it was Sophia. I'm not sure. Yeah. But there was definitely one time.
But it was a thing. I don't know why.
And they always had their blankets. Chris can demonstrate. Okay. They'd walk in, and the blanket would always be like this, and they'd be like side by side, And there was never any indication or evidence of any foul play or messing around. It was just. They had just been tucked in by their mother to go to bed for the night.
Ma!
Yeah, and they would always get the, Ma, get out of here. or that reaction when she found her mother in bed. Ma, what are you doing? And I'm pretty sure if you looked close enough, you could tell they were still in their full-on pajamas as well.
Right, yeah.
So it was very PG. Of course, back in the 80s, they didn't really go too far with things like that, like they do now. Mm-hmm. But that was always kind of a funny thing. It was a kind of just a funny idea. Obviously, that the woman is in her 60s and sleeping around with different men. And Sophia was supposed to be probably in her 80s, I would guess, right? That was, if you figure.
Well, you had the whole dynamic between her and Dorothy. Of originally Dorothy had decided to put her mom.
Oh yeah, Sunny Acres or whatever it was called.
Shady Pines.
Shady Pines, that's right.
And she hated it there, came back to live with them, but there would always be that threat. Yeah. Ma, Shady Pines.
And then that was the one thing that could completely stop Sophia in her tracks.
Right. There's not much else that would.
And she'd make that face as if she had like 16 more burns to go. Like she was just going to go on a roll, and then Shady Pines would come and she'd be like, and then she'd like turn around with a little purse and go scatter off somewhere else in the house, or just sit down and go. It was always... And that was what made the show very funny.
I don't know if we mentioned that Estelle Getty was the youngest.
Yeah, she was the youngest of the cast, which is even funnier. Mm-hmm. First to die, unfortunately, but the youngest of the cast. Probably the most, like I said, most popular character. Then we had Rose with the St. Olaf stories.
Oh my God, those are the best.
And those are fun. Those are hilarious. And there was actually an episode where they go to St. Olaf, I believe. I think it's the one where Sophia falls off the roof.
Why don't I remember that?
There's an episode, you'll have to look it up, where Sophia falls off the roof.
This is going to drive my cousin nuts.
I remember my grandmother just like being hysterics. Because you didn't, through the window, and I could be wrong about it being St. Olaf. I'm not sure about that part. But for some reason, my memory brings you to that. And she falls off the roof, and you can see obviously it's not Estelle Getty. I don't even think it's a stunt double. I think they just drop a mannequin or something down, and you can hear her go and she falls down. It's pretty funny. But once again, it's always a lot funnier when you think it's an older woman doing that kind of thing.
Right.
they were definitely somewhere when that happened. Not that it's important. It was either one of the episodes where they had gone to
Yeah,
St.
I'm checking
Olaf,
that right now.
or they had gone to, I think at one point they go visit where Blanche was from at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And she's always talking about her. And that's another thing that's funny about Blanche. She's always talking about her ex-husband, or she's a widow.
George.
So endearingly. But then at the same time, she's like ready to go from one bed to another. So was she take like a break somewhere in the middle of her life when she was married? Or was she just like cheating on George constantly?
I don't know.
I think she was cheating on George. How could she not? She was just, I mean, she was a sex machine.
She was.
She was just, she couldn't go anywhere.
Couldn't.
She would come back in that show, she walked through that door, she had a story about a man she met that day.
True.
And I mean, how many episodes do they make? You know?
You're right.
And so.
Sometimes multiple men within the same episode.
And see, I mean, they might even walk in on over two men. I don't even know. There was sometimes they were young men. She'd never tell her age.
Nope.
And they would always have those jokes.
Yeah.
I know this is hard to believe, but he's only 8 years old, younger than I am. And then Dorothy hits the line, well, in what, dog years? You know, things like that. So, I'm just trying to think of other things about this show I really like. But while we're thinking about all the things we like and people are making noise in the background here, what other shows did you watch as a kid with your grandmother or just growing up in that time period? I mean,
well,
there's so many of them.
Yeah, there was.
There was a spin-off.
The Empty Nest.
Yep.
Yeah, we did watch that with Harry.
Harry.
And, you know, the neighbors there.
Was it Harry Weston?
Yeah.
I believe. And I believe Christy McNichol was one of his daughters.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Barbara? No, Barbara was the redhead.
Right. Barbara was redhead. What was the...
I can't think of the... I cannot for the life of me think of Christy McNichol's... No, there was Barbara and Carol.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, of course, you had Joey Zuzu. I don't know the actor's real name, but he was famous with the Joey Zuzu commercials, playing the next door neighbor Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually had a pretty successful run as well.
Yeah.
You had Dreyfus the dog, and the premise there was similar, and well, I would say similar, but he was, you know, and I think he was he was someone's love interest at first, or well, he was a neighbor, but didn't someone like him at one point, or?
Because I remember him being on the, you know, popping into the
once in a
show.
while.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Blanche was the one
maybe
that
it was
liked him,
Blanche.
but
I could be wrong, and your cousin's probably listening to this screaming.
She's screaming. She's bashing her head.
I could be
against the
wrong.
wall.
I'm completely in the dark, and at the beginning of the next podcast, any mistakes we made, we'll brush up on.
Yes.
But, and he was a doctor, a pediatrician, and he had the southern nurse there too. She was another part of the show, big part of the show. She was married to a baseball player.
What was Let me pull up the cast.
I can't remember her name, but there was a funny dynamic. She was kind of sassy and funny, and then they had the same dynamic in the sense of the daughters would insult each other. The redhead was Carol?
Laverne.
The redhead was Carol.
No.
No?
Let's see.
I thought the redhead was Carol.
Oh yeah, because Christy McNichol was Barbara.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so she played. She was supposed to be really attractive one, and the other one was supposed to be kind of one that couldn't get a man. Even though I always thought she was kind of a good-looking woman, but whatever. And they always played off of that. So you had those same types of kind of an insult show. My mother called it one time. Golden Girls is an insult show, and I feel like Empty Nest was sort of like that too. Charlie would always pop in and do something wacky, and he was kind of the popular character on that show as well.
Yes.
But they never really played him up though. You know how you always get those characters like Steve Urkel.
I was just gonna say
or
that.
Michelle on whatever's working. They just they pound the heck out of it. They never really pounded the heck out of that character.
No, it's not like they pushed him, to the forefront.
I'm not sure how long that show was even on though. Probably not much longer than the Gold. Actually, I think that show kind of took off after the Golden Girls, right?
It was from October 8th, 1988 to April 29th, 1995.
So it had a good run. Had about a similar run years-wise, so that's good. Other shows I loved in that time, Full House. I mean, we can't have a podcast about those shows about Full House.
And again, popular again today.
Someone was telling me whatever they use to rate Netflix shows versus actual TV shows, like ratings-wise, that Fuller House was the year it came out. It was either the year it came out or the second year it came out, one of the first couple of years. It might even still be true, I'm not sure. Was the number one watch show on television.
That's crazy.
It is crazy considering, I mean, let's face the facts, still a little cheesy.
Oh, yeah.
But it's good. I mean, it's good family fun, but it's a little cheesy.
It was completely cheesy. You'd
mean-
have that moment when, Danny needs to give some advice to one of
Yeah,
the
and
girls,
there's
and the
always a
little
nice
violins
hug.
would come in.
And Danny was a neat freak
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the biggest dork there ever was.
Oh, absolutely.
Until you go on and watch a stand-up comedy and realize he's the biggest pervert in real life you ever met in your life, and he's completely raunchy. Mm-hmm. But
Hey, good for him, because he plays off that, the shock of, oh, this is Danny Tanner, but oh my God, look what he's saying.
yeah, I think that actually helped his stand-up career
Absolutely.
a bit in that regard. And then you had Uncle Joey, who is the goofball but could do all the impressions. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because Danny got his America's Funniest Home Video show, and then shortly after you got America's Funniest People, which a lot of people don't remember when I bring it up.
I don't remember that, to be
You
honest.
don't remember America's
No.
Funny? It came on right after America's Funniest Home Videos on the strength of it, probably like a year after or so. And it had the jackalope. You don't remember the jackalope? It would run around the screen and as fast as be. You'll never catch me. He used to always make the voice for it. And that was Joey.
That is kind of ringing a bell
Yeah.
now, yeah.
And what was his? Dave Coulier. And yeah, he had his own show. He had a co-host on that show too. I can't remember. You'd have to look that up. I have no idea who that was, but he had a co-host. Bob Saget didn't have he didn't have a co-host on America's Funniest Home Videos. But I was watching an interview with him not too long ago, and he was talking about how lame the jokes were that he had to do on that show. But, the paychecks were coming in. What was he supposed to do? I remember at the time being a kid thinking it was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, I used to...
I mean, I think they even still have some kind of incarnation of that show somewhere floating around still,
They do.
don't they?
They do.
Is it like Wayne Brady or somebody?
It used to
host
be
that?
Tom Bergeron. Used to hold.
Yeah, Mr.
Used to
Skinner.
hold it. I'm not
The
sure
living,
if he
breathing
still
Mr. Principal Skinner, as I call him, because he looks like a real
Oh,
life Mr.
I think
Skinner.
Alfonso Ribeiro.
That's who it is.
Right? Yeah.
That's who it is. And I that might still be going on.
It is.
I'm not sure, but it's funny to
pretty
think that
sure.
show's gone this far, especially with like YouTube and everything now. Like anyone would even tune in to watch a show on like silly reels
Right.
of people at home when you can just watch it anytime you want on YouTube. But
Arlene Sorkin was
so-
Dave's
no,
co-host.
no idea who Arlene Sorkin is.
And then Tawny Kitayan replaced
He had-
Sorkin.
He had all right. So when did that show run to?
So that was, let's see, 90 to 90. Oh, no, wait. Let me see here. Yeah, 1990 to 1994.
See, that ran a lot longer than I would have thought too. Mm-hmm. But those early teenage years for me, or anybody, I guess, kind of just all mixed together. But
So, see, it's so much harder to have a TV show nowadays, whatever it is, whether it's sitcom or drama or whatever, genre, just so the fact there's so many options out there. You mentioned, YouTube. How you have the streaming services and everything. It's so much harder to have a successful TV show because back then, we only had how many channels?
yes,
There was just a limited amount of TV channels. So I feel like I remember my family, we would, put on ABC on Sunday nights and, watch things like the America's Funniest Home Videos.
that's true too, because you would take whatever was given to you.
Right.
Exactly. Scott, a friend of mine, a friend of ours, Scott was actually telling me one day that it'd be a lot more difficult to get a show kept on TV today than it was back then. I want to say it was a couple of seasons in until Seinfeld really caught on. That they were really bad in the ratings at first. And he used another example of a show that got canceled more recently that I can't remember the name of, but what he said was they had the same problem out of the gate and it was just canceled. There was no...
Yeah.
It was given no time to
Right.
develop and see if it could get an audience. It was just if you don't hit in the first 9 episodes or whatever, first season consists of, you're out of here.
Yep. Yeah, you don't have the same amount of time that you did back then to really, all right, let's develop this and see, if it's not working, it's not.
Which is interesting because Family Guy kind of fell victim to that on its first run.
Right.
Then it got lucky and went on to Cartoon Network and caught on a cult following, and then now it's like a mainstay on Fox.
Yeah. Yeah.
And is a good example of that. And even Netflix Arrested Development's back on there. I'm not sure that got canceled originally. Everyone just kind of went their own ways.
I believe it did.
Okay.
And then it popped back on with Netflix, and then it came back on again.
Yeah, because people love it.
Right. It's a great show.
I watched some of it and I enjoyed what I saw. It's
a great show.
I can't speak too much to it, but it was, a popular show. So anyway, back to the 90s and 80s here. Yeah, those shows had a quick impact. And if they didn't, they were done. Now, the TGIF lineup all seemed to just, I want to say originally started with, I want to say Full House was originally on Fridays. That was the first one. And you're going to either prove me wrong or right here. And then they had kind of built on that.
It's funny
you
that...
You got Perfect Strangers in there in the early days.
Yep.
You got Step by Step made its way on there at some point. Family Matters, which a lot of people don't realize was actually a spinoff of Perfect Strangers.
It's funny because we're doing this now and, trying to get the timeline of everything and the different, lineups that they had on there. I was doing this with our friend Johnny a couple years ago. We would be like, okay, what was the lineup? Even we did this with Snick too, because that kind of had some shows that changed in there.
More, yeah, you guys were the right age for that.
But you're not that old, are you?
No, I know, but I missed it. When you get your teenagers, it's wishy washy. You're 14, maybe you're watching Snick. You're 17, maybe you're not watching Snick. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So we would talk about this, like, oh, what was that lineup? Do you remember? What was your favorite lineup out of all the different ones on TGIF? So just going through here, 1985 is when it started.
That was when officially TGIF started?
Yes. Well, actually, this is, let's see here. So the original run, so pre TGIF is what I was referencing there.
So did Full House launch as a part of TGIF? I always assumed it kind of came out and people liked it and they kind of built on that. I felt like that was the original show for it, but I could be wrong, of course.
Yeah, so it looks like in 87, 88 is when Full House was the...
joined it?
Yeah, but that was actually... Yeah, it looks like that. The way they do this layout is kind of odd.
So what do you got for an original lineup then?
All right, so, and then 88 to 89... And let's do that. And then we'll go the official original run. But 88, 89 was Perfect Strangers, Full House, Mr. Belvedere, and Just the 10 of Us.
Okay, so Mr. Belvedere and Just the 10 of Us. I'm aware of those shows and was not aware they were ever part of TGIF.
Yeah.
2, Just the 10 of Us, if anyone, I don't know much about the show. I don't know if you remember this.
No.
That was a spinoff, I believe, of Growing Pains.
Okay.
Coach that was in Growing Pains, that Coach Mike Seaver, left for another job and took his family, and it was him, his wife, and 8 daughters. I only remember one of them wanted to be a nun for some reason.
Okay.
And I don't think it ran long. But anyway, go ahead.
So then we've got the original start here. So
this is when it was originally branded? I'm curious. Okay.
Yes. Which was 89 to 90. So we've got Full House, which opened up the block, Family Matters, Perfect Strangers, and then again Just the 10 of Us. So
that ran for a little bit then.
Yeah.
Longer than I thought. Of course, I think that the later, for me anyway, that age, the later something ran in TGIF, the less likely I was to be awake to watch it.
Right. Well, and then you had Going Places /
I don't know what that is.
That replaced Just the 10 of Us in the final half hour of that block.
No idea what Going Places are. I'm going to look that up.
Okay, I looked that up. So that was same thing. Full House, Family Matters, Perfect Strangers,
Going
Places. But they had some swaps. Do you have any
idea what that was?
No. But it looks like it really didn't go any places because it was only on for.
So Going Places.
One.
Let's see what it says.
This dead air is nice.
The production staff of the Dick Roberts Show has its hands full booking guests for the outrageous talk show and dealing with its egomaniac host. After work, Charlie, Jack, Alex, and Kate share a house with Kate's 8-year-old nephew, Nick, who is quite a handful himself. This show...
Sounds awful.
Had Alan Ruck. Hedda Lockville was in this show.
Really?
Stacey Keenan. Haley Todd. Jerry Levine, Holland Taylor, J.D. Daniels, literally no one I've ever heard of other than Heather Locklear. Interesting. That only ran one year.
Yeah.
So 1991.
So Going Places.
And I'm looking at the intro, which usually brings me back to something when I see, and I
Just nothing, yeah.
Just nothing there for me.
Going Places, Went Places, which was away.
But if anyone knows about it, this is what I love. Is leave some comments or or your memories of it, explaining what you think.
Yeah, that'd be
'Cause
great.
I have no idea what the show is. I'm gonna check it out after we're done here. But
So again, during that year, dinosaurs was thrown in too. Sometimes it would be Family Matters in the second half-hour window. Sometimes dinosaurs, and then Family Matters would be after it. So this is 1991. That's this spring.
and was that a 7 p.m. start for that, or at 8?
It was
I always remembered 8 in my
8.
mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then not to.
'Cause I felt at one point they pushed Full House back to 7:30, and added like a 5 show.
They
You
might have. I
might
don't
see it when you
remember
go
that.
along. We'll see.
But then you have 91, 92, the fall, winter, and spring. Looks like they kept it pretty consistent. Was Family Matters, Step by Step. That's another show that I enjoyed.
And that was a main,
Then either Perfect Strangers, Baby Talk, and Dinosaurs.
Baby Talk.
Yeah, and there's a show named Billy. Baby Talk,
Wait a minute.
right at the end.
Wait a minute.
I mean, we
Baby
can go
Talk.
down the rabbit hole if we.
No, I like going down the rabbit hole a little bit because this is why conversations like this are interesting. Baby Talk. What is that? 91 to 92. Oh boy. I think I actually remember this. I do remember this. This had Tony Danza, and this also had Scott Baio. Of the two people and I believe, let me read. Baby Mikey being raised. No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't remember this. But this is a half-hour situation comedy, aka sitcom. It features the adventures of baby Mickey being raised by Maggie, a single mother starting her life over in the city. Now, I have zero recollection of this.
Okay, and then there was
So
Billy.
interesting that Scott Baio was in it as well.
Yeah. It looks like Billy was a spinoff of Head of the Class.
Billy was
Yeah.
a spin-off ahead of the class.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Billy was a character for sure.
So same thing, just one season, 13 episodes there.
Wow. So they definitely went through some failures.
They absolutely did.
I can't even find Billy.
And then
Billy, I assume, right?
yeah. Then you have Family Matters, Step by Step, Dinosaurs, or Getting By, and Camp Wilder / Where I Live. So again, they would swap some shows in there, probably to test, see how it's going to do on this lineup.
So Getting By, Cindy Williams of Laverne and Shirley fame.
Mm-hmm.
And that is literally all I can see there. Tatiana, a very young Tatiana Aliyah, I would assume, considering that was. Jeez, that's interesting. How was she in? She must have just made a couple of guest appearances, because she must have been doing Fresh Prince at that time, in 93, 94.
Yeah.
Locke Voorhees from Saved by the Bell. So that's interesting.
And then this is where I really remember this
And
lineup.
this is where age difference comes in. But go ahead.
Right. So it's Family Matters, Boy Meets World.
See, you and Johnny are all about Boy Meets World, and I know nothing
Absolutely.
about that show.
How is that possible?
Because I was too old for it.
Yeah, I feel like even the older kids in school would at least talk about it. Maybe I'm probably wrong, but Family Matters, Boy Meets World, Step by Step, and then Hanging with Mr. Cooper, or
That's
they
funny.
throw in Sister.
Sister. I feel like that was that went on for a while though, right?
Yep.
Hanging Mr. Cooper was kind of popular too. I never watched that one really,
Yeah.
but it was a popular one. Actually, my buddy Mike at work, I brought up this idea of this podcast, and that was the first one for some reason. Out of all the TGI, Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Really?
That must be. It's an age thing. Because you figure, what year was that?
That was 93, 94.
Okay, so Mike's in his 20s by then. So.
Okay.
That,
And then-
out of all those shows in that lineup, that's the one that appealed to him. I would imagine probably had a little more adult comedy in that one if I had to guess. And that was on later in the block too, correct? Yeah.
Yep, that was last. That stayed the same through 94, 95. You got 95, 96, same lineup, it looks like. Although they threw in Muppets Tonight. So you'd have Family Matters, either Boy Meets World or Muppets Tonight.
I forgot they rebooted the Muppets for a little while.
Yep. Step by Step, Aliens in the Family,
I have no idea what that
Hanging
is.
with Mr. Cooper.
I love I love the fact that I had no idea that any of these shows existed.
And then we've got Family Matters is 96, 97. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. You probably don't remember any of that show. With Melissa Joan
I've
Hart.
seen some of it in like syndication.
Clueless.
Aliens in the Family.
and Boy Meets World. This was
Is
my
it still running? Because I got 96 to open. Anyway,
but
this show, Doug Brody, played by John Bedford Lloyd, is kidnapped by an alien mom named Cookie, played by Margaret Trigg. They marry and hilariously try to blend their blended family into everyday life. The aliens were puppets designed by Jim Henson's Creature Shop. The sci-fi fantasy sitcom that aired on ABC as part of its much-publicized TGIF lineup. A single dad marries an alien wife, and then they try to blend their family into the neighborhood. I kind of remember this now, though.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it.
Yeah, just looking at that picture, it's
But man, it had to be short-lived. How many episodes did it say it had? Were you able to see that?
I didn't click on that. I can if you want me to.
It doesn't.
But I've just been kind of scrolling through the other, forms of the lineup, and same thing. Sabrina, Boy Meets World, You Wish, Teen Angel was another show that was on there. Again, Clueless was a couple seasons.
Clueless counted, huh?
Yep. Two Guys, a Girl, and A Pizza Place.
See, it's funny.
Ryan Reynolds was in that.
Really? Because I bet you when they moved shows around, if it was even in there for a small period of time, it's gonna get credited as being on that.
Yeah, because the Two Guys, a Girl, and A Pizza Place was a mid-season replacement.
It's funny when you see these shows too. It was like the
Hewleys,
Teen Angel that I'm looking at right now.
Mm-hmm.
These shows, obviously they fail, and then I look through it and I see absolutely nobody that I've ever heard of in it. There is Dick Van Dyke's brother, Jerry Van Dyke, who was in Coach, is in it, or at least a little bit. He's not top billed, but. And then there's, who's this? Conchata Farrell. She's the maid in 2.5 Men. She was also in Mr. Deeds.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I recognize her there.
And there was something else I'd seen recently with her in it from years ago too. I can't remember. So she's been around.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of a character actor.
So yeah, there's definitely a lot of forms of TGIF.
But not as classic as for us anyways, Full House and Family Matters may have arguably, I'm sorry, let me try it again, been the best of those shows in my opinion, only because I feel like it hit the right down the middle perfectly, where it got cheesy, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
People gonna jump down my throat by saying it didn't get cheesy. But not as cheesy as Full House. And Urkel was funny.
Mm-hmm.
When Urkel in his prime was a funny character. Where I feel like Full House isn't never really been, especially for an adult, like a laugh out loud kind of show.
Right. It's the example that you were talking about before when you had, Family Matters, and then they started to focus on one specific character, which was Urkel.
And that ruined it, probably, right? You think?
I don't know if it ruined it. Not at first.
But as it got.
Yeah, because everyone was, did I do that? Quoting him.
Yeah,
you had the Stefan.
Yeah, I think that's when I feel like it kind of got too far, maybe, though. Because it was just playing with that whole dynamic.
It became really
Stefan got Laura.
character-centric.
He always wanted Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously the chase for Laura was what made it funny. And then they kind of found the dynamic between him and Carl. What's up, big guy? And all the little, the hot air balloon episode, the famous hot air balloon episode.
Yeah.
The second you say it, it makes you laugh. There's not a single episode of Full House I could probably mention right now that would put a big smile on your face.
Mm-hmm.
Although we all, I think, like the show. I watched the new one just because, but it's not. It was definitely more aimed towards family to younger kids.
Right. And then, like I said, it wasn't so much for you, but Boy Meets World for me.
That
was huge.
Probably the most popular show if I talk to people of your generation.
Yeah, it was huge. Just the whole, Corey Topanga, you mentioned that today, and people were like, oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of like the Wonder Years with Kevin and Winnie.
Yeah.
You had that, kind of couple there that, if you're around that age, you related to them. So
I think Corey and Topanga was probably even more popular than
I'd
Kevin
say
and
so.
Winnie, really.
I remember we coming into school on Monday, and everyone would be talking about, oh, did you see what, happened on Boy Meets World and this and that.
See, it's so funny to me. Not funny, I get it, but...
I remember they did a Scream spin-off episode, which was pretty cool. See, that was in the later years.
Completely missed that.
Yeah, Johnny.
I'm aware of the show. Don't get me wrong. You show me flashcards of characters that are in or not in the show. I can probably point them out. I know who Topanga is. I understand who Corey is, and
Another show
Sean
that-
was his friend.
Yep, best friend
Mr.
Sean.
Feeney. I know these people. I just don't. You bring up episodes, I couldn't get into the plots.
Girl Meets World, was
Failed quickly.
It was,
I thought it was going to do well when I heard about
there was
it.
a huge buzz about it, coming on the Disney Channel. But yeah, it
Sometimes you
definitely
can't
dropped off.
duplicate
Right.
when you get.
It was cool to see the old former characters and whatnot, but
Yeah, I'm sure you and Johnny must have took a peek at least, right?
of course,
Yeah.
of course.
I'm sure Topanga was still quite lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so those shows were obviously classics. Classic characters. Every one of them has something to offer. Full House was probably the first show, I would say maybe the first show. It was either that or the Golden Girls. I want to say it might have been Full House, though. It was the first show I really consistently watched. Another great show you brought up and we'll talk about quickly is The Wonder Years. And I think a lot of people, I think that's one of those weird shows that I feel like most people I bring it up to will be like, yeah, The Wonder Years. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people don't know about that show. It didn't run as long as maybe you think. It was only like 99 episodes or something like that, which is a decent run, but how many years is that really? 4 or 5?
Really?
You can look it up, but
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it was in the 90s in the episode. I watched the whole thing on Netflix not that long ago. They actually had a hard time putting it on the streaming service, and this is why I think it fell to the wayside, or DVD collections because they couldn't get the licensing rights to Joe Cocker's version of that song for the longest time. And I don't even know if they ever did it. They might have changed. They used it.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
They figured something out.
This is a show, again, that you didn't watch, but Dawson's Creek had the same issue.
Oh, no, I watched that show. See,
Did
that
you?
show was right up. I was 16, 17.
Okay. So, same thing. They didn't have the rights for that opening.
The Paula Cole song.
Yes.
I don't want to wait for my... Yeah.
And so if you go and you watch it on any, released DVD or anything streaming, they would have the episodes with the different theme songs.
Oh, they changed the theme song.
It's just not the same. It's not the same.
That's funny because it's just funny that one little thing like keeps it from getting off the ground, or like it makes you think, what was the original licensing agreement you had? Like we're not going to put this in any kind of format. We'll put your show on the TV with your song, but if we ever want to go on a DVD or anything, and I get it that maybe at that point that wasn't really a thought in anyone's mind because seasons, to all you younger people, seasons and streaming services and things on DVD didn't exist. You either watched the show, or you didn't. Maybe you recorded it on VHS, but I guess because of that, there were no terms set, and they had to figure it all out. Although there's only a couple of shows I can think of that I didn't even know about that one, but they even had that problem. So
yeah, and
I don't know.
It's one of those things. Same thing with. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
You want 1, 2, 3 shoot for it?
I was gonna say a lot of shows just had their own theme songs.
Right.
They borrowed popular music to do theirs. So that might be the problem they ran into.
Wonder Years being centered around the 60s.
Yes, that song made sense, of course.
Had so many, and I think that's why I love it. It had so many classic songs from the 60s that they would use. And
I love that song, that show. That show
soundtrack was great.
And it still holds up because it was a timepiece.
We were kind of talking about that with the Sandlot.
A period piece where it doesn't matter when you watch it because it's not outgrowing its current culture. It's always in the 60s, and that's what it's supposed to be. So
6 seasons for the Wonder Years, 115 episodes.
So it's a little off.
And that was 1988 to 93. It actually aired after the Super Bowl in 1988.
I remember when it must have been. I think it was the season finale, the first season when he kissed Winnie on the Rock. Right.
And he gives her the Jets.
Being on the cover of like some magazine in a newsstand at Stop and Shop, and then having like quotes of them talking about what it was like to kiss each other because they were both kids and all that stuff. I remember when Fred Savage was when he was a thing. That show was very popular out of the gate. It lost steam. It's funny because I don't think I ever really watched it all the way through till I just did not that long ago.
Because they had the college years that they went into.
Yes. He was a pizza delivery boy when he kind of vanished for a while. That summer camp, they kind of rekindle, but they don't rekindle. Well, they never really do rekindle, but when they ended that show, I read this. They weren't given a heads up. They were going to cancel that show. They had to kind of makeshift wrap it up at that parade at the end, where Kevin basically just narrated what happened to everybody.
His dad died.
I know, which was I always thought he was kind of the coolest character in a way because he was like the badass with the heart of
Yeah.
gold.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Great
Wayne
show.
took over the furniture store because his dad had left his job. They would go do the furniture, and I can't remember what happened to his sister.
I forget. I know Karen had moved during the series.
I think she kind of got her stuff together.
She
had
go to
kids
Seattle
or something.
I could be wrong.
He mentions what she did. I just can't remember. And he then drops the last line of something along the lines of when him and Winnie see each other with each other's families. So that he had married, and
That crushed me.
She wasn't.
It was so
You wonder
sad.
why they just didn't sew that up nicely and just say, yeah, they ended up together.
I know. Still bugs me. But you have the connection.
But I guess it makes sense.
It
Too,
does.
'cause, generally it doesn't happen.
You have Fred Savage being on this show, and then his brother Ben being on Boy Meets World. And
Yeah.
Fred Savage did make a guest appearance on Boy Meets World for an episode where he harassed Topanga. He was a teacher. This is in their college years. And he sexually harassed her.
Oh.
And they fought, and they went through
down
a
that
window.
avenue,
Yeah,
huh,
they
with
went
that
through
show?
a window in the lounge, in the student lounge.
Didn't Topanga... There was like episodes where she had been putting on weight and they addressed it.
Yeah.
I remember that for some weird reason that just popped in my head.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
Yeah. She was talking about
How
that.
she
They just
felt
did.
about that as a person in real life.
Right.
make an
They just did a cast reunion
Yeah, she
this past year because of the 20th
got
anniversary.
herself back in shape.
Yeah.
But no, it's just funny that I thought about that.
So
I wonder if they did it on purpose because like the freshman 15 and all that kind of stuff, they wanted to actually just kind of keep it real because I think everyone gained a little bit of weight when they first started college. I know I did. There's a reason why they call it the freshman 15.
right.
It's a thing. But yeah, that show is classic. The one years. Unfortunately, the one unfortunate fate that it had to deal with was that when it got canceled, it wasn't given a heads up and it was out the door. Back in the days when you thought that Daniel Stern was going to be the next big thing in Hollywood. He was all over the place. He did the Home Alone movies. He had a couple other things. He was doing narration for... Oh, he was in City Slickers. He was doing narration for the Wonder Years, and then he just disappeared.
Yeah.
But those are like some of the obvious ones. I can't think of any... Was there anything else you watched? Now, this is kind of funny because we both have watched different things because of our age, too, to some degree. Because I feel like it get all mishmashed once 93, 94, 95 started to hit. I started to watch Seinfeld. I got a little older, so I started to watch Seinfeld.
Yeah, it was that Thursday night NBC block.
Yeah. Friends came on the scene somewhere in the mid-90s there, too.
That might have been 95. I could be.
Sounds about right.
Well, actually, it was on for 10 years and went off. It might have been earlier than that. Could have been 93.
I think it was
So I remember watching that
Actually,
finale.
now that you say that, I want to say that I'm going to look it up anyway. 94.
94.
It does make sense because I used to go to my grandparents' house in the summertime, and VH1 used to run a block in the morning where they give you like the news and they play the videos of the day, and I always see the Rembrandts. That video was popular at the time.
Yeah.
And that was about right for the year, so that makes sense.
What else we got?
I was gonna cut that. I was gonna cut that off at 94. I'm not gonna go too much further in for late 80s, early 90s because it's funny that went on in 94. Crazy. That's what I mean about when you get older and how time. Like I was watching. It was what's that? There's one on Netflix. It has the guy from Saturday Night Live in it. The guy who used to play Obama in Saturday Night Live.
Oh,
He has a show.
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
God, I wish I could think of it.
Can't think of his name.
But the reason why I bring this up, do you know that guy's name?
I don't. I'm trying to think of it.
Maybe this was a bad example, but there was a show he was in, and I looked at it the other day, and it was 2011. It started. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm gonna think of it. It was like a name of a town. What was the name of the show? That's gonna drive me nuts. But anyway, it was 2011. And I'm like, wow, it's been on for almost 8 years already. Like, how does that work? You know? God, I can't. I wish it's gonna bug me that I can't think of that. But I'll get it before the show's over. I can see it in my head. But point being, it seems like now you just blink an eye and something's over. Like Mad Men ran its full course, it's over.
Right.
You know, Breaking Bad ran its full course, it's over. It doesn't seem like it was on that long.
No.
Those shows seem like they were on forever.
It's true.
know?
And that has to do, like you're saying, with when you get older. I feel like each year goes by so much faster, and
Yep.
Summer as a kid used to last forever.
I know. Now it's like you blink your eyes and it's done.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with those shows. You feel like they were on forever, and then like, oh, there's only 2
You
seasons,
feel like there was like
or
hundreds of shows. You feel like they had like 1,000 episodes, and then you look it up and you're like, well, that wasn't really that long.
Mm-hmm.
The other show we had mentioned briefly too is Step by Step. That kind of had a good run on TGIF, but
You had Cody, who became that popular character. Remember Cody?
yeah, and Cody was definitely the popular character on that show. They had the girl from. Do you remember My Two Dads? There was a show
really.
about. They didn't know who it was. Paul Reiser was in it. I can't remember the other guy's name, and the girl that was in it. It was the premise of the show was she had two dads because they didn't know which one was her dad, and I guess they never went to go find out maybe. But the girl that was in it was one of the daughters in Step by Step. I made that connection at a young age, and the youngest daughter.
I wonder if it was the girl that played Allie or Karen.
The blonde girl.
Yeah, that was
The
Allie.
older daughter. It was a blonde girl, and then there was the younger girl that was kind of like a tomboy.
That was
She
Allie.
was in Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, and a couple of other things as well.
Oh, Stacy. Stacy Cannon, who played Dana. Dana, that's right.
Stacey Cannon.
There's Dana, Allie, Brandon,
See, that all makes sense too. Yeah,
Brendan, and JT.
that sounds right. And it's also interesting to note that those shows. Let me think about this for a minute. I'll make sure I'm accurate. So what network was TGIF on? ABC?
ABC, yeah.
So Disney buys ABC.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those shows, I'm almost positive of it, had at least one episode where they went to Disney
They're
World.
at Disney, yep. Boy Meets
And
World went to Disney Step by Step.
And wasn't there a crossover between Boy Meets World and Step by Step on that? Didn't the character we just spoke of, what's her name again?
Dana?
Dana. She's in the Living Seas Pavilion, and she bumps into a character from the. I want to say it might have been Sean from Boy Meets World. Look that up. I think it was Sean she bumps into, and there's like somewhat of a cross, as if both families were there at the same time. If it was not him, it was another show. It's definitely one of the two shows. Definitely two shows crossing over. And one of them was definitely Step by Step. I just don't know 100% if Boy Meets World was the other one. I think so. Then Full House went to Disney. They had Scott Weiner had voiced Aladdin. They had that little gag in that episode where he was dressed as Aladdin at some point in the show, which was kind of funny. And DJ was, because DJ was missing him, so she was seeing his face all over the park. And at one point, he appeared as Aladdin. I was like, because he's really Aladdin.
Right.
You find it? No.
Yeah. So it was. You're correct. Corey meets a girl named Dana.
Oh, so it was just Corey.
Dana. Yep. They didn't mention Dana's full name on Boy Meets World. Let's see. But it was the crossover at Disney.
Yeah, they met at Epcot. I remember that.
Not too much info there, but yeah. Oops.
Does it seem like all the episodes, a lot of them took place at Epcot? In my memory, except for that Full House one, I guess that was kind of all over the place. And then there was Roseanne went to Disney. So I'm surprised you haven't brought up Roseanne.
Sometimes you save the best for last.
But they went to Disney. But they went to Disneyland, I want to say.
Yeah, I didn't think it was Disney World.
They went. I don't know. You'd have to look that one up too. They went to one of them. I don't know if it was Disneyland or Disney World.
Roseanne,
no,
another.
it was Disney World. Look that up, please. I'm almost positive of it because they had the rope drop scene where they were gonna run to whatever ride it was they wanted to go on, and it shows Dan and Roseanne sprinting down Main Street, USA. Now I know a lot of you might be saying, "Well, that still doesn't tell you enough," but I'm pretty sure it was Magic Kingdom's.
You're right. Yeah, it was 96. We're going to Disney World.
Yeah, I think it was a 2-part episode. I'm pretty sure that was. I was gonna say I was pretty positive it was the Magic Kingdom's Main Street USA, not Disneyland's.
Yeah, spent Dan's last paycheck from the garage on a vacation to Disney.
Yeah, I'd like to see someone get to Disney or the family that size, someone's last paycheck now. Because
Look
that's
at
going to cost you a pretty penny.
what we were just talking about. The trivia under the IMDb for Roseanne with this episode, in regards to this episode, after the Walt Disney Company acquired the ABC network in 1996, many of ABC's shows sent their characters to Disney theme parks as a cross-branding gimmick, including...
Thank you, Michael Eisner. Check out my video on him on the channel.
Yep.
He never stopped across the morning. I guess that was his brilliance and his downfall.
Mm-hmm. You'd have Boy Meets World, Step by Step, Family Matters...
Oh yeah, because I remember Family Matters went too. Yeah,
Sabrina, and Roseanne.
Sabrina, yes, Sabrina went. They went. I remember they went to Animal Kingdom. I think that was. They definitely went to Animal Kingdom. I'm not sure if that's the only place they showed in the shows, but that was on the episodes. But that was kind of funny because when Animal Kingdom first opened, it was kind of lame. Didn't have a whole lot, as once again mentioned in the Eisner video. For more information on that, I'll actually be making a video about that, more in depth on that, because that park was it's a beautiful park and it's kind of made its way now. But man, what a disaster! But anyway,
that actually Animal Kingdom officially opened only 2 days prior.
Yeah, so that makes
its airing.
So once again, Eisner's trying to cross promote the new park, and so let's send Sabrina the Teenage Witch there. Makes absolutely Did they fly there? Because
they could have, yeah.
Why pay for anywhere? So,
why pay for airfare
or anything? Why wouldn't they just wiggle their noses and go in or snap whatever she did to cast a spell?
Yeah,
and just end up right in the park.
You could do that. Just skip right. You didn't need a fast pass.
No, didn't need to do anything.
No,
I mean,
just
Sabrina could have went to Disney World anywhere. She could have went to Disney World, Disneyland, Shanghai. Well, not that time. Tokyo Disney. And one snap of a finger. So that's kind of a.
Hey, can you edit something where we snap and we disappear and we say we're at Disney and then we snap and let's try
it.
We
don't even say we're in Disney.
Well, we are, but I'm just saying,
Disney.
let's go to Disneyland. We're in Disney World right now. I just want to try it.
Okay.
And if you don't edit it this way, this is going to look terrible.
Okay.
Well, time to go to Disneyland. It's been real, Tim.
We didn't even snap at the same time.
That's terrible.
But here we are in Disneyland.
Wow, cool. It worked.
Anyway. So they go there and they're trying to. I remember that episode because they're trying to show off new attractions. They had the riverboat ride there that lasted literally a year. It was absolutely horrible, and they tried to make it seem like that was the big thing to go on in the show. Just Michael Eisner at his best. But yeah, it's funny. There's just a little tie in there with those shows and how they all did that. I can't think of any other shows that jump out at me from that time period now.
I'm forgetting shows.
Scott's going to listen to this and be yelling at it.
Oh, of course. That's in the back
this.
of my head right now. His voice is, I can't believe you forgot.
But I can't think of anything. There was, we mentioned, we didn't talk about it.
The Cosby Show?
Oh, The Cosby Show.
Jeez.
Yeah, how did you skip The Cosby? This guy loves The Cosby Show. Now...
All right. Let's pause for a second.
Some people may look in Cosby in a different light these days, but let's go back to the 80s.
Let's talk about Cliff Huxtable.
And talk about Cliff Huxtable as a character. And a special chili that he used to make his children feel better. No. They had a little bit of my chili. You see that clip? I'm sure they were showing it. What's wrong with them? Why are they happy now? They had some of my chili. That was some classic. He said so many things in that show, all silly, that when you go back now, knowing what you know now, and pull the clips, it's hilarious.
Yeah.
But that show was, arguably the best show of the 80s.
Now, that was on NBC.
Yep.
It was the number one show for many, many years.
Oh, a ton of years. I'm not sure when it stopped becoming the number one show, but it might have went right into the 90s. And they had the spin-off, Different World, where...
Different World, yep.
What's-her-face went to college. Can't think of her name right now. Lisa Bonet's character, which was... Denise. Yeah. Went to college.
There's Denise, Sandra, Theo, Rudy.
Sandra. Not Sandra. Sandra.
No.
She was the one that had the special chili, her and Elvin. Elvin, her husband there.
Yes, Elvin.
But even A Different World was fairly popular for quite some time. Dwayne Wayne and what was her name there? Oh, I'm sorry, Sinbad.
Sinbad, yeah.
And the really proper girl, I cannot think of who played her, but she was funny too.
So you have one of those...
There was a lot of good stuff on that show.
You have, around this time, especially a lot of spin-off shows. So, we remember one and it branches out to a couple more different shows.
And she ended up coming back from college. She failed.
Yes.
So did they write her off that show to put her back on the Cosby Show, or did they? At least Bonet's character I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Or did they just cancel that show and continue the Cosby Show?
Not sure because they Bill Cosby was actually they had gotten in a mini spat.
Yeah, she had gotten nude in the movie. He didn't care for
He didn't
it.
like that.
He only liked it if she was doing Spanish Fly in his own room. He didn't want
Right.
to see that on TV.
No, not on TV.
Yeah.
That's
Or a movie.
unacceptable.
She was in a movie, I guess.
Right.
Is she married to Lenny Kravitz? Or she was married to Lenny Kravitz.
I think she still is. I think.
She's still married to Lenny Kravitz. So she kind of, I mean, she's had herself a decent life then.
Mm-hmm.
Even though she's kind of, I don't know the last time I seen her in anything.
No. But, you know, that was a classic show.
Oh, God. That show was the best.
We could devote an entire...
Episode just talking about
Right.
the silly things going on there. I mean, even at the end when they try to save it with bringing Raven Simone in there. I don't know if they did it to try to save it, but it was kind of one of those last ditch, Cousin Oliver style Brady Bunch type things going on.
Mm-hmm.
But Raven Simone was kind of charming in the show, I guess
Right.
you would say.
Yep. Olivia, she had her...
Now, I don't know if they did that to save the show or they just did it because Keisha Knight Pullman, I can think of her real name. I can't think of her name in the show.
Rudy
Was kind of outgrew up. They wanted to always have that role, and
Yeah,
she
the
kind of
younger
outgrew it, so
role,
they had to
right.
bring another one in, another child in to kind of continue that. Or,
There's that episode...
because his comedy had a lot to do with the way children behave and things
Right.
like that. So
There's the episode where Rudy is... she wants to, try on this dress, and she just doesn't feel old enough, and she wants to grow up in the worst way, and they play... it's a Ray Charles song, and she's just kind of... It's kind of a iconic scene. And she's just in her bedroom, and it's a good 3 minutes just on Rudy, and she's going through the different areas of her room and kind of looking at things and wishing she was older, and it's supposed to be this, sentimental and sad moment. And
I've probably seen that. I just don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember they had the classic. They were doing a little tribute to Bill Cosby's parents, and they put the jazz song on, whatever. And is it Olivia or is it Rudy that does the? It's Rudy, I guess, that gets into it and does the whole. That's pretty funny. And of course, Cliff always eating what he's not supposed to eat, and
every time I see a hoagie, I do the face. I do the
he loves a hoagie. Yeah,
little face.
yeah.
Anyone listening, didn't
He
see the
did
face
he
I
did his
but
best Bill Cosby impression.
I
there.
tried.
Well, facial impression.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of good guys. There was a lot of good dynamics in that show, and kids would always. He always had something funny to say. I remember Theo. We're rich, and he give him that look. No, I'm rich.
Yeah.
You're not rich.
I brought you into this world. I can take you out.
Yeah, and they had the kids were always up to something that wasn't working out. And I remember the episode where Vanessa makes the video. Remember they had the video. This generic, generic. Thinking back on it now, but she makes the music video in the mall. And
Yes,
brings it home, and
yeah.
he didn't like the way she looked in it. And I'm trying to think. What was that Kylie Minogue song from back in the day?
Yeah. Something train.
No, the Locomotion.
Yeah, Locomotion.
That's what they did, right? They did a Locomotion. Ooh, damn you, Vanessa, and your crazy Locomotion video.
Right.
That's funny though. That would be like nothing now.
No.
Characters would dress that way every day in the show now. Never mind it upsetting their parents.
Mm-hmm. Times have changed.
Times have changed. That's for sure. Bill Cosby was a free man back then. But
Now he has glaucoma. That's probably the least of his problems.
yeah, I don't.
His
I was thinking
eyesight.
about this. Do you think he's? I mean, he's got to be having a pretty easy life in prison, though. I mean, if you're a prison guard, and Bill Cosby wants to sit there and make you laugh for an hour, you're gonna say no,
Yeah, true.
as long as you're not gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
Or one day he shows up and he's like, "Listen, I just wrote a whole new stand-up routine.
Yeah.
I want to perform every night
Right.
for the guys." Blah blah blah. That's the kind of stuff must be happening. I would imagine. I mean, how old is he? He's gonna be in his 80s.
Oh yeah.
How long is he gonna go to jail for?
Right.
A few years? I don't even know what he got.
Oh, I don't know. I
So
guess I
he's-
could look this up.
This is a little bit more morbid, but it's just interesting. The road he decided to go down, or the road I guess he was going down, and we just didn't know at the time. According to people,
Sentence of 3 to 10 years.
so 3 to 10 years. You get out in less than 3, you're in good behavior probably, and all that good stuff. I would imagine. So he's not gonna do a ton of time, but at this point he's so old, what's it even matter? It's a horrible situation.
He's
though.
81.
I don't want to speak too much towards the situation because it's just absolutely horrible.
Right.
But it's funny too. The show's classic, but it does cast a shadow on it now with that. I'm sure a lot of people are turned off by the show. It's unfortunate that
It really is, because that was, it was all about the wholesome family.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you didn't have, like, the crass jokes in there. It was all built around that family dynamic.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
it was great. It was a great
Went
show.
the other way on it. And, you don't want to negate the work that everybody else did on that show. And it was really funny. But anyway, still a favorite show of a lot of people, I'm sure. And probably, like we said, the most popular show of the 80s. So anyway, I think we talked about this enough.
We have.
It's been going on over an hour. So we are going to cut it out here. We'll be freeforming again next week.
Cut it out.
Yeah. So bad. The stupid beaver he had to. We're going to cut it out here, and we will be back next week on a freeform Friday. Hopefully, freeform Saturday-ish Friday. But we will try to keep pumping these out and just have random topics to talk about.
Well, like you said, anyone leave comments down below.
Yeah, absolutely. And
some freeform shows you want to see, ideas.
Yeah, Backside of W1 on Twitter. I'm always on there constantly. My wife will tell you. Below in the YouTube comments, if you're watching this on YouTube, the iTunes comments, anything. The Backside of Water at iCloud.com. Email me there. If you're listening, if this is Chris's cousin listening, whoever, you want to make some comments, we messed up on your Golden Girl stuff, let us know, and we will talk about the beginning of the show next week and fix the mistakes we made. We're kind of like doing these, like shooting from the hip on this, on these topics, just to kind of see what our memory brings back. But other than that, this is Chris, and I'm Tim from Quick Diz Takes, and have a magical rest of your day.